Alright, so we got another nice day here for the end of fall. Today's the day everybody votes for president. Big deal. So I went out and did that and had a nice meal at a diner, and now I'm going to take advantage of this nice day, which we got here. It's pretty nice. There's some birds enjoying the last of it too. So we're digging that, and we're going to work on these two. I'm going to put some more WD-40 on the country air and see if I can get that set screw to come loose. There might be a heat gun in my future. I've never owned one, but I might need that to get this off of here. And then we're going to open up this wind mirror, and this is not the wind mirror, this is a super fan. Got this in Jersey for pretty cheap. Not sure exactly why I bought it. It's not the best of condition, but it's clean. Either somebody cleaned it or these cosmetic issues are just from it sitting somewhere. We'll plug it in and run it and give an idea what it looks like, how it runs now. Okay, so I never really did a video on this fan. Got this in New Jersey off of the old Craigslist. It is a super fan made by Lakewood. We'll take a look at the label inside the box once the grates are off. It's got some paint issues here that may be from some sort of animal feces or whatever. That's not so good, right? Some rust inside the case. It's got the later, more pointier 3rd gen blades, but they're gray, which is one of my favorite features of this fan. Gray blades in the dark gray case. It looks pretty darn cool. If the plastic were newer and shinier, you know, if this was a shinier thing, it would be a more attractive looking fan. The sides aren't all that bad. That's that side. Back grate has some issues here. We're missing some slats. I guess you would say this is the later motor with the smaller shaft, but with the larger openings. The other later 2nd gen that I have is a wind mirror. It's got the late one with the smaller openings for air. Probably doesn't matter much. It's just notable to detect which fan is which, really. I learned that one of the things you can tell, besides the width of the case and the size of the case, but also the later ones have 2 on the top and 1 screw on the side for the grates, which I wasn't that aware of. When I bought this over the summer, I was less informed about the Lakewood game, as far as which are which. But I'm getting there. I'm starting to learn. This might not have been the best buy, but again, I didn't pay that much money for it. And the guy who had it must have cleaned it up, or it wasn't used that much, but the rust and the issue with the paint here, which may indicate it's sitting in a bad place, it's really hard to tell if this fan was used a lot or not. I'm not really sure. That's the point of, part of the point of pulling it apart is to inspect the motor and see how worn the motor is. So that's the super fan. Stay tuned, there's more coming. Alright, so here is the wind mirror, as bought, never took it apart, never oiled it. The guy ran it for me, it ran okay. We're going to do a little running and see how it looks to us before we do anything else. It's high, shakes a bit, shakes a little bit, medium, rattles a little bit as it gets to medium, and then here's low. And low is just barely running at all, which must be nice, but I imagine it fights with the wind a little bit, or the breeze. You can see that the blades are off center a little bit. It's a little unbalanced. I'm going to go back to high and do a quick spin down. And the spin down isn't that good. So we're going to pull apart and see what's going on. Alright, so as you can perhaps see, she's in kind of unfortunate condition. A lot of rust And that's not just surface rust. Here's a tag. McCrory Stores, model number P22328. McCrory. So we know this is a Lakewood late 3rd gen, and that's that. But yeah, a lot of rust in here, and it's not super encouraging. The biggest worry, considering that this came out of New Jersey, here's the wobble. Let's see if we can see the wobble. It's hard to pick up. Okay. So, New Jersey had a major hurricane 4 or 5 years ago, and a lot of stuff got wet. I picked this up on the shore, so the real worry is that this was in the flood. You would think it wouldn't run at all, but we don't really know. So we're going to inspect the wiring, post-grommet, take a look at the switch, and we're going to pull the blades off. Alright, so just like on the wind mirror, which is 5 years later or so, this only has 2 bolts in the engine holding it together, and it kind of squeezes around the armature, so you just kind of have to sort of pry it off. The other one was fairly easy to get together. This one should be too. And here we go. It does want to just come apart. There we go. There's all 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to take a look closer. Rusty inside for sure. This looks really terrible, gunky, wretched. Self-aligning bearing, but it seems to be very interesting. We'll have to take a look. Alright, so it's apart. I got the washers, the felt and the plastic washers off, and I'm cleaning off the bearing surfaces on the shaft to take a look and see what they look like, see what they feel like. And you can see some lines here from wear, but it feels very smooth. I don't have a digital micrometer to come out here and measure it versus where it isn't wearing, because that's what you would do to really measure wear. But I'm going kind of by what it feels like. I'm going to clean it off real good, all the way up to the inside, to the rotor. And doesn't look, I mean, these lines, maybe that is bad. I can kind of feel them there, but it's not that deep. And then this side, again, a little bit of wear. See if it'll focus. There we go. There's a spot here. But this is actually the wearing surface right here, and I don't feel any lip or anything like that. So that's not so bad. I don't know. It's surprising that it doesn't look super terrible. So now we're going to inspect the bearings and all that internals there. We'll see what it looks like. Alright, so I hit it with some WD-40 on the front motor housing, to say it correctly. And it did take off some of the external surface rust, but this is still rusty. I was able to get some of the goop and gunk off, and this bearing is free to line up. It's not that bad. I double checked it. We're going to still clean inside here before we reassemble. Now we're going to try and get the armature out and do the other side. I guess I'll try and do that on camera for you. All I'm really going to do is pry like that, just a little tiny bit in the corner. It should, there it is. So that came off of there. We're going to do the same thing. I had just chipped away some of the oily gunk that's here, and then WD-40'd it front and back just to get the gunk off. It's actually, the paint's actually pretty good on these housings. It's just they're not that keen on the inside, and there's not a lot of oil here, so that might be why the spin down and it was running so poorly. So that's that. All right, stay tuned.